All right, are we live now? I think we are after 100 times. Are we live? Hold on a second. Are we live? I am. I think I am live. Oh, I am. Oh, wow. I'm live. Wow. All right, folks. All right. It took some tries. First, first streaming in Twitch. Not Twitch, YouTube, sorry. All right. First stream on YouTube. All right, folks. We're gonna play some rapid game. I'm just checking things from my end to see how things are playing here. All right, 10-minute games. 10-minute games. So it's good. This is gonna be rapid only. Rapid only. Explaining my moves. All right. So this guy is okay, I suppose. Knight f3. We could play knight f6. And we could play d5. There's a lot of things you could do. G3. So you could play b6. I've been playing b5 not long ago, which bishop b7. You could play b6, bishop b7. It's probably a safer approach. And then you could castle e6 or g6 even. You get plenty of options to play. e6. This feels like it's Queen's Indian kind of setup. c4. We could castle. So it's gonna be a short stream. I'm just testing out the stream here. We're gonna do YouTube stream, but obviously I'm just checking. I'm new here though. It almost feels like I'm starting from scratch, right? Everything looks good here. I don't know if the audio is good. Should be. The camera is good, I think. All right, so knight c3. We could play knight e4 with the idea we trade down. It's actually ideas from the Queen's Indian where you just take control over e4. So if he takes, bishop takes, and we control e4 instead of white. You don't want to see like rook e1, e4, or queen c2. I mean, if white get to play queen c2, rook e1, e4, you can see that, you know, white is controlling the center in a much whoever controls the center in chess really would have an easier way to play. So obviously it's maybe possibly me playing knight e4. So if he takes, we control e4 square from, from black. From white. Black is trying to control e4. So there are a couple moves. You could still play queen c2, yeah. There's always some tricks on knight g5. I have to be careful. This f5 is more of control. But I have to be careful that knight d2 is, because if you take on d2, he's taking on b7, and it could be trouble. It could be trouble. I suppose we just take on c3, though. I mean, there's some tricks on knight g5 where h7 is becoming, it could become really troubling because there's mate on h7, and then there's tricks where b7 could be hanging. You don't want to see that happening. So we just take on c3. And then we're still controlling Nightbot. Hey, how's it going? Nightbot. Nakamura won. Nice. All right, so we could still control f5, e4. So now if he plays knight g5, we don't have to worry about the mate because the queen is sitting on c3 and not so much on c2, right? So f5, more control over e4. More control. How is the audio? I mean, since you're here, is audio okay? Everything is okay? Should be everything is okay. Hopefully everything is okay. So here he has maybe a couple options. He may go back to c2, but I don't see the point. Maybe he just moves his bishop somewhere. Yeah, YouTube. H4 is actually interesting. What's the point of H4? Knight G5. I don't see the point of H4. Nice, nice. So maybe we could play bishop here and c5. There's a pin on d4. The queen is being, you know, we could try like something like here. We could trade on f3, takes on d4. So bishop f6 is putting some pressure on d4. He may still play queen c2, but it's better square for the bishop f6 than e7, right? So the bishop has some scope here. I wouldn't be surprised by this move, but I could still play bishop e4. I mean, this bishop, I mean, I'm assuming that white would eventually move the bishop somewhere. The bishop on c1, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Bishop g5, yeah. Oh, nice, nice. Nice. Yeah, there are some things to change, right? It's gonna be the next videos, right? The next streams. H6, he takes. He's just putting a pressure on d4, but not the same. It's not gonna be attackable the same because he can start defend, but I can still do it. He might do knight east. It's knight here though, and trade on. We could trade on g2. This guy is good though. This guy is good. This one, he's not doing it. So maybe we could try this so we could stop knight e5. I'm not enjoying knight here. I mean, maybe we could go knight d7. We need to develop the pieces, right? We need to find a way to develop. I mean, I have knight c6, but maybe here we supporting e5 breaks. I mean, I can still play e5 even after knight c6, but it feels like the knight could always. I mean, there are some tricks where if you play knight d7 here, you could maybe jump on c5, right? More squares for the knight to go to. So we play here. So for example, if here we could trade, and something like here and knight c5, the knight would be sitting on c5 for the longest time. If we trade on c3, and it's going to be double pawns, and it should be good for black, assuming this is were to happen, but it's not going to happen. He may have plenty of choices. He may play here, and maybe like b4, c5 kind of stuff. It's not easy to get c5 in now, because I could always take. We are defending it 3 times here. That's a nice move. So I take here. Did I miss this? Oh, I may have to take with a pawn. Here. I have to take that way. You gotta take on b7. I don't think this is good. I think it's taking here. Here. We attacking the bishop. Yeah, that feels... I may have to take the pawn here because I'm taking the pawn with a tempo attacking the queen, so he doesn't have time to take on the knight. So if he takes with the queen, we have knight e5, a better square for the knight, right? If he takes with the pawn, which he will, we may have to play here, defending the knight. Yeah, the knight is stuck. So we have to do this, maybe knight f8. So d4 could be a target, though. It's funny that this is how white is playing. Because maybe it's knight f8, rook d6, bring the other rook, you attack on d4, right? So maybe that's how you play this position. If he takes... Okay, so this move is okay. We're playing knight f8 anyway. He maybe wants to go rook e5, but we have knight g6 attack the rook, and still attack here. I just have to be careful that maybe there might be some tricks. So here, attack here, maybe this. Maybe this. But, you know, we could maybe consider We have c6. We have c6. Maybe d5. All right, we're gonna play it. d5. We may push. We may just have to take. The bishop gets on d5, so that's kind of rough. The bishop gets in. Nice. 9 viewers. That's nice. At least it's a start. We all start. Okay, so we all started lower views at the beginning, and we build. Yeah, this move is very good. May have to take. I mean, could this happen? May have to move the king. I mean, he has double pawns. I mean, I could play here, takes king e7 even. And this is actually interesting. Double pawns. May give it a try. He's gonna take though. King e7, perhaps. I mean, I'm saying that this e6 pawn is weak. Could be takeable later. Yeah, wow, he's not. He knows, so he wants to play here. I may just play e5. So I'm putting all my pawns nearly in the, dark squares. He has a white, light square bishop, right? So that's. So if this is a light square bishop, all the pawns are dark squares. That means he cannot attack any of them, right? It's one way to play. He's still gonna take though. He's not taking. That's interesting. He's not taking. He wants to play here in c5, maybe. All right, we just move out of the way. So if he takes, I could take with the knight. The knight could go to c5. So he has to be careful not to go for... Because this, if the knight goes to c5, we have a new dynamic. Because the knight would be really active on c5. This is the reason why he might be looking at c5 himself. Now, could I play knight d7, though? With the idea of knight c5. May have missed this idea. We're stopping c5, right? He may take everything. King f6, defending f7, and knight c5. So once this knight gets to c5, that's actually interesting. And also the pawns are still in the dark squares. It's probably... I still have 2 pawns in the light squares. I mean, one of them is going to be traded soon, I'm assuming, on e6. And these double pawns are really troubling because they are not really contributing to the center now, because if this pawn is sitting on b3 maybe, or d3, you always have d4, so the knight doesn't have knight c5. So when you have double pawns like this, you are allowing some weaknesses around the squares, like here. So once the knight lands on c5, there's not a piece that could take it out. I mean, the pawn cannot take it out. You don't have b4, d4, so you could attack the knight on c5. So this is actually one of the drawbacks from black's, from white's perspective. And I could see why he's thinking, because he knows that knight c5 is a big move. All right, we have knight c5. There's knight d3, knight takes e4. So the knight actually is making some gains, but this move is good. What do we just defend? So he takes. Now we are attacking a4. We may also jump here, but the idea is taking on a4, so you could create a pass pawn on a5. Right? You want to take this, you're claiming I have a pass pawn at a5. And white, it doesn't do anything, he's just basically defending. And once you take on e4, then c3 is also a target. So this is one of those positions where the knight really outplayed the bishop. This kind of situation. Could we play e5? So that e5 would put our pawn in dark square, right? F4, e4. I mean, I'm just running out of time, so I may have to make use of my skills, like blitz skills, bullet skills. So if he plays here with e4, if he goes back to attack, knight takes e4. The knight could go here in e4. more support on d3. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe we just play more simple chess. Is he going here? Maybe g5. So you can see all my pawns nearly in dark squares now, except f4, f5. I mean, I could also play f4 next, which means all my pawns are going to be on dark squares, and this bishop is kind of like, you know, stinks. This move is interesting. I could take and an e4, so we'd have a pass pawn. This is actually terrible for white because I may have knight d3, f4. f4 is a weakness, so maybe I could just reroute my pieces and go after f4. So something like rook here, rook g4, the other rook gets to h4. So you could see the two arrows where the attack on h4. It's very difficult to hold this position. I mean, I'm assuming here is nearly lost. So if he checks here, I could trade. And there's still this, you know, you can see that even if we trade one pair of rooks, black is technically winning. He might try this. We just play here. If he trades, that's always good. We may have this. We may put him on rook h2, defending g2, right? If he takes here, he's also lose a piece. He has here, okay. We play defending the pawn on knight d3, takes on f4. So maybe... And he's still tied down to defend. I could actually take on a4 and take on g2 if I want to. Like takes, we take on g2. It should be winning somehow. But we just go for the weakness here. We want to take on f4. It's going to be a pass pawn. Like, we're creating a 2 pass pawn now. We already have e4 pass pawn, but it's going to create additional pass pawn f5. Okay, so... Did I do this? Oh, he might repeat again. But we just take on f4. So we are trying this with check. Maybe rook f2? Knight d3? Attack both pawn and the rook. It's just very difficult to find a move. Rook c6, rook takes f2, f4 check, and then we can still defend c7. So the idea is you just take here first. I mean, I could have took on a4, right? But I just don't want to give up my knight. I'm trying to hang on to my piece because I know it's super good, right? And this is super bad on g2. Like the bishop here doesn't really, I mean, even... All right, takes with check. Then we could defend here. He could try this maybe. Doesn't achieve much. We could stop pushing the pawn, but this may allow him to get active with the rook. Knight e5 here. Yeah, position is very difficult. Rook here, knight f4, maybe. I just need to make sure that f5 is not really... He could take in some line. Maybe f4. You stop pushing the pass pawn, right? You cannot take here, there's a pin, right? f3 is actually the issue, because the bishop is pinned and everything is really in trouble. The rook at e2 is not really active. It was tied down to defend a4. Then I got to the e3, after he resigned. All right, we could give him a rematch if he accepts. He doesn't want a rematch, all right. We'll try somebody else. All right. Is he gonna play or all right? I've been trying e5 recently, but e5 here, it's the England gambit is I don't know. So e6, it's not something that maybe I play in rapid, but I could play anything. c4. All right, we could play d5. Oh wow, the exchange variation in the Queen's Gambit. So bishop g5, yeah, putting some, you know, he wants to take here. If you're not really careful, knight takes d5 or bishop takes f6. You take with the pawn. Your pawn structure is kind of ruined here. So that's the reason why you do have to play c6. So if you take here, queen takes. And if this were to happen, you may have the two bishop pair. You do have the bishop pair in an open position like this. But I guess normally what white do, you know, is you do bishop b3, queen c2, knight e2 even, and it becomes like a solid position. I mean, this could be really troubling if you don't know it very well with black. I haven't played this in a long time, so I might get in trouble. Yeah, thank you, Tech World. Welcome around. Welcome around. Welcome in. Knight f3, just a typically the knight I've seen in this line where the knight goes to e2, but obviously you have to move the bishop on d3. You know, when I put the knight on e2 and then the bishop is stuck on f1. Normally what happens is bishop d3, queen c2, and knight e2. That's actually a better structure. So all your pieces are developed, and but knight f3 is okay. It's not a big problem. So we just castle here. Bishop d3, I suppose you could do it this way. You could develop everything, and queen c2 anyway. So queen c2, maybe it's attacking h7 because you could take, and bishop takes h7, free pawn, because the queen is behind the bishop. And that you remove the defender from f6, that defending h7. So I guess we could play here. I'm expecting this move. So even if he takes here, we just stick with the knight, defending h7. That's a reason. And he also developing a piece, right? He plays castle, which is okay. We just play h6, bishop h4. If he takes on f6, that's a good news for black. We may have the bishop pair in that situation. And rook e8, because usually what could happen is rook here and this potential e4. It could happen in this line. Queen c2. Eventually, he played queen c2. Right? Took some time, but he was able to do it. Yeah, typically I'm not good in this kind of structure for black. I mean, it's very boring and well, you cannot find like a counterplay here for black. It becomes really boring. I mean, typically this is maybe good for white. I mean, it's equal, but white could find ideas. I mean, black could as well, but it depends on your style, I guess. Depends on what kind of player you are. Tactical player, positional player. So how could I get my bishop out? That's actually, I need to get my bishop out. Sometimes you do b6, bishop b7, but c6 could become a weakness. I mean, I think b6 is okay, and bishop b7. I may just have to be careful about e4. Bishop here. So see, he could play here. I've seen e3, b4. So he could say, well, c6 is weak. Yeah, so look at this. e3, b4. And c6 is a target. We could attack it somehow. But it's not easy to grab, right? And you could also have a5. But he could even do like here, rook b1 and b4. They would be stubborn enough to get b4 in. All right, we could see. Let's play here. I'm assuming here you could even do this. Actually, I think this probably doesn't matter. I guess here it does matter, though, which rook you protect. Maybe it's actually rook a b1. He played here. Okay, so that's okay. I mean, I've seen this happen. It's a very strange way of trying to trade down the bishop. And then some kind of rook c8. c6, I don't think is really that weak or anything. It's protected. It could be protected after rook c8. It's hard to win it. I mean, bishop b6 is very weird. I think bishop b7 is a move. I mean, I may just would like to trade down this bishop, so we may have some control on e4 and c4 later. We'll give it a try. I don't think it's a big problem. I'm assuming he's gonna trade. Maybe c6 is weak though. After trading on a6, maybe it's weak. More weak than you know. If you play bishop b7, it's probably safer, I think. Much safer approach. Bishop a6 is kind of loose of a move. You could even do this rook here. All ideas is gonna be revolving around attacking c6, I'm assuming. Okay, so here c6 is up under attack. But here's the issue. Maybe it's c5. Maybe he c5, but here's another dynamic. You could take and claim that d5 is weak, you know, and you have to be careful. You could make what you could say c6, we just push a pawn, we make the pawn less weak, but then d5 becomes a new target. So you always have to be careful when you make pawn moves. If he takes here, maybe it's pawn takes, but still d5 is really weak there. But he's attacking the pawn right now, so I have to deal with this. b5 is kind of a move I'm not a fan of. Not a fan of this move, folks. Because this may allow still, like, maybe c6 becomes really a big issue for me. I mean, may have to try it, considering the time now, 4:22. e4. This actually allows a weak. This allows, like, I could take control over b4 with a piece. I mean, if we get a knight on b4, that's a good news. And if he takes here, I don't have a problem with that. That actually kind of solved my problem with c6 being weak. So e4 is okay. It's okay to see. If he takes, his pawn takes. e5 is not weak though. I mean, you could. It's not really a target. Yeah, he could play here, but I prefer bishop d6. We could trade that way. May as well pre-move it. So we could trade on d6. Now he wants to play knight b3. We may just trade first before anything. d5 could become a problem though. Like knight b3, knight c5. So taking control over a square, right? Just like I was talking about b4 being a square that I could control, but he could take a control over c5. Here, I guess. Yeah, makes sense. Could we take a knight b6? e5 is under attack in this line. It's not really ideal. Knight e4. If he plays f3, we just take on. So maybe a knight e4. You could take an e5 is still under attack. He's actually attacking e5. Knight e4, he takes, and then rook takes e5. Ooh, that's kind of nasty. Do I have to play this? We have to push. Because now pushing is so he doesn't, you know, he doesn't take and weakening up e5. But we may play knight e4 next, though. I may have to play it so that counters his knight being on c5. If he plays knight c5 now, which he might consider that, we may have to take. And that's a move that would allow me to take on t5. He may have d4 under his control, but c6 no longer a weakness, right? So I don't understand this move, to be honest. There's a rook still defending on c6. Unless he's trying to play queen d3, but still, you know, the queen is no longer going to be on the square to attack on c6. That's a tough call what to do. We may have to play rook c8. Am I able to play c5? That's actually... We may play here and c5. d5 is always a concern. He's making these gains. All right. He's gonna take control over c5. but we could take two times. Yeah, once he step in, I just take. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which way I take. Still takes. It's not pawn takes, it's knight takes. Queen takes, of course. You want to still attack on you know, all the weaknesses as much as possible. Could he pile up the pieces there? Rook c2, rook c1. I mean, it's possible that this is getting out of control, but maybe it's a draw. By the time he's trying to win c6, his king is weak. Maybe a repetition of some sort. But he's gonna attack c6. Just like I did say, like, this is gonna be all about c6 throughout the game, right? Maybe try to find some attack. I mean, h5 is really, like, strange move. Maybe I could play here h4. Try to go, you know, just to try to... Yeah, he's going for here. Trying to distract him from c6 as much as possible. But he's gonna double up. But that's okay. Play here. Just trying to make moves here. Queen c2. Running out of time. But b3 is questionable, though. He doesn't have to play b3. This could become weakness, meaning that I could still find ways to attack it in some line. Okay, f6. Do I have to play rook e7? It's not even possible here. Yeah, I'm trying, but it's a difficult task. King f1. Is he gonna play here? And rook h1? I mean, if he plays here, the pressure is no longer... Can I step over there? King d7. So I could free my rook somehow. As it predicted, you did a play here. Rook e7, stopping queen's check. 1 minute left in my... That's difficult. Oh, Keegan, hey, how's it going, man? How's it going? I just noticed you. How's it going, man? I just noticed the name. How's it going, c6? Yeah, everything is weak now. Everything is weak. Queen h6, queen f5. Queen here, does he win the rook? That's trouble. Do we have some kind of repetition? We'll give it a try. F2, here, takes, here. Could he escape? He's playing really well, though. He's playing very well. He's gonna take the rook. I mean, repetition is the only thing that left. Takes. Check. Well, he goes here. He goes here, and there's nothing though. There's nothing for me. He goes to King G1 and he goes King G1. Yeah, that's resignable. Queen takes, but yeah, I'm down a rook here. It's down a rook here. It's too much. 17 seconds. Everything is just. Everything is lost. Yeah, that's lost. Yeah, that's lost. Nothing to do. All right, E4. We're back. We are back with the same opponent here. D5, typical car. Oh, E5. All right, let's try this. Typically, they play D5, right? That's how we play the Caro. E5 is interesting. You could take the pawn, knight takes. Wait, I could take here, take there. That's an interesting line, though. I'm not sure if I like it for black. I know this happens in blitz games, something similar to this, where, you know, they exchange on d8, but this line, it feels a little bit different. We could play here and castle long. You could try bishop b4 pinning. All this kind of stuff could happen. I have to be careful not play f4 maybe, because e4 could be weakness. Like he could play even f6, allowing f5. And if you were to take here, the knight gets to e5, and then this knight becomes really strong with all the directions coming in. So you have to be careful about pawn push, right? You could do pawn push in a certain way, like g3, f4, so when he takes, his pawn takes, not knight takes. So you could stop knight e5. I mean, this is maybe something I will try. This may allow this. May allow this, but we could play h3, but bishop f3, rook g1. This feels like really passive play for me. What to do here? What to do? I mean, maybe f4 if he takes knight takes this bishop, even allowing knight e5, we could take this bishop. He may just play f6, honestly. F5, bishop here. Let's wait. Let's do a waiting move, h3. G3, f4, so he doesn't have bishop g4, bishop f3. So maybe it's a slow plan. It's a slow plan. It's a very slow plan, but it may be effective in a position like this. He plays f6, so he was, f6 is going to happen. And I mean, bishop f6 is typical. He may do like here, knight e7, rook d8. But we might try g3 with the idea as f4. So if he takes on f4, his never knight takes, his pawn takes. But he might be preparing this, bishop h6. All right, bishop g2. I mean, the bishop doesn't have a easy way to develop the other side of the board, so g2 makes sense, even though it's blocked by its own pawn at e4. h5 is actually interesting. I mean, maybe f4. I may not mind this now. f4. F4. Yeah, so he plays here anyway, I know, but and you have to be careful not to take here. This is hanging. So he's saying, well, do F4 all you want. I mean, I wasn't preparing to take anyway, but because we know that knight takes is really strong for black. Even here, I mean, if this were to, even if he doesn't play bishop h6, he's still very strong. The knight gets in e5. You don't want to give your opponent any kind of activity at all. If you see an activity for him and you just allow it, or you just try to counter it. So maybe here, you play here, defending f4 for now. We may have to play like king b1, to be honest. I'm seeing some things here that could be really active for black. So here, this is typical, maybe even here. Just getting the king out of the way. There's actually potential bishop c1. So I'm not pinned. It's not like I'm going to take, but I just don't like the idea that the bishop is, like I cannot really do f5 or anything because this allows bishop takes. So maybe I have to do something about this bishop's being a little bit loose on e3. He may probably do like something like here or b6. B6 is fine. All right, we could try this. I may have f5. I don't think it works. Because f5, I would like to see this happening and some kind of like, I could get my knight in e4. That's equivalent to him doing knight e5, but this may be losing a pawn. At the cost of a pawn, maybe it's not that great. I mean, I'm looking at takes knight e4, getting my knight in a better square on e4, and instead of being sitting on c3. I don't understand e5. I feel like, he may be looking at b5, b4, but this feels like a little bit too slow. We don't, the queens are kind of traded. I mean, they are traded. So there's not like much of an attack here. Maybe actually takes on e5. It's actually a move now because f6. So when he takes here, is rook takes f6. That's actually interesting. So this means pawn takes. That means pawn takes. But we're not really doing much. The pawn is still stopping all the key squares for... I cannot play here, knight d4, knight f4. Maybe I could trade on h6, but everything is... Black is really solid. Unless I do here and takes and pawn takes f6. That's potential way of doing it. Like coming through that way. So he moved the bishop away, we take on e7. That opens up the line. And then maybe we could do knight d4, knight f4. That's actually might be the plan. But he's just going to take here. He's not going to take on c1. I would love to see bishop takes c1, but it's not going to happen. The best move is by far pawn takes. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Bishop takes h6, rook takes h6. Everything is okay for black. You don't have rook f6. You have to know that the knight is covering all these key squares. It's hard to make improvements. I mean, maybe rook f2 and rook f1, f5. I mean, what else? Some kind of f5, and you're getting the knight on e4. Like here. Oh, wow. g5. That's interesting, g5. Could I take f5? Goes back. Now maybe this may lead to knight e5 again if he were to trade. All right, we may have to trade then rook f1. I'm assuming pawn takes. Bishop takes is okay, I guess. All right, we take and then doubling up. He may even do rook f8 though. That's... he may trade here, and it feels like it's equal, but I'm actually feel like black is making. I mean, he's really solid. The bishop is nicely placed, right? Stopping all the key squares. You don't have rook f7. I mean, but maybe 90 here, 93. But he start jumping knight c5. May have to start maneuvering. I mean, I could see that knight f5 is the only way to play. I actually felt like rook f8 was the best move. Trading down one of the rooks seems to be key because white doesn't have much. I mean, white and black doesn't have much. But I felt like e5 is a waste of move, right? You never get to play b5 or anything, so you don't want to make waste of move in chess. This is like feels like a waste. You never get to do any kind of like b5 anything. So you don't want to make any kind of waste of move. So 93, knight f5. There's potential g4, but he could take rook h4. He played rook f8. That's not a move I would like to see, but here... And then he takes everything, rook f8. Rook f8, and here. You could make the jump on f5, but you don't have targets. I mean, this is a move yeah, it's not much to do, actually. Even here, he takes it twice. I'm gonna offer him a draw because it looks like it's a draw to me, but he doesn't want to draw, okay. So maybe I could move my king. I don't want to see bishop takes e2. Potential... Did he see the draw? I'm just gonna try it one more time. I don't think he saw it, but give him time to consider it. All right, he saw it and he's declining it. No. Good news, good news. Good for you. So maybe he could try this. How big of a deal is this move? This play here, I guess. So stopping all these ideas. I suppose here. The knight could go here. Yeah, I see this is only way to try to create something. H4 is actually key. Here, C3. If you want to get checkmated. Because the pawn is defended. Alright, check. Do this. Not gonna do this, of course. Alright, so he could play knight f4, but I'm lining up for knight f5. So it's both ways. But I may just have to make this move. I don't have to take. And I'm defending h3, excuse me. The reason he's not taking draw is because his position is slightly better. It should be draw, but he's looking at the clock. He's looking at the clock. Maybe I could maneuver my knight, something like here, putting some pressure on f6. G5, excuse me. Putting some pressure on g5. So I don't have to take. If you take, then it could be trouble, even though you have knight f5. His king get really active. So he maybe wants to take a knight f4 again, but who's going to allow this? We go back. So he doesn't trade and play knight f4. We are looking at here. There's knight f5 for me, but lining up for knight f5. This game is competitive, though. I'm not finding any way to win at all. Actually, he made the mistake here. How could he defend this? 96. 96, knight f5. Maybe slight mistake. But I cannot punish it. I don't see a way. Putting my pawns in dark squares. He has light square bishop. And now the knight is actually attacking both pawns. So he has to be really cautious about knight f4 because I can take on e5. It's funny that he feels like this is winning, but it's okay. c5. He could try to push. But we trade on b4. That seems to be equal. Could I play knight e3 though? That's actually potential. I want to go here. And then knight f6. I'm not even sure if this is even anything for me, but I'm trying. But I don't like c5. I'm not a fan. If he were to trade, maybe b5. You know, there's ways that it could be trouble. I could still check, I suppose, and g5 is hanging. This is gambling, but we'll take it. Because if you trade down, e5 is hanging. He might take d5 again, but then it's not clear. Maybe here? But there's d6, or there's d6 here. Remember, guys, when I said b5 could be a problem? It is actually a problem here, but h3 is also a problem. So maybe here he takes on b4. I mean, I could take on g5, but if he takes on d5, it's not. I'm trying to protect the pawn. If he plays here, maybe even d7, I take with check, but h3 is hanging. But I could take on g5, so maybe this is an idea. g5 defends h3. And you know, that's a pawn at g5, and this actually creates g4 like a passer. So taking on g5 is actually a big deal for me. I mean, d6 is a passer just like this is a passer on e5. I would like to take on b5 at some point, even if he takes on h3 in some line, because this creates a pass pawn. So here takes. If he goes here, I could even do this. Or I could take on g5. And if he takes on d6, bishop takes b5. This specific order may make sense. It's actually a tough game, though. It's not easy. He's defending again. But here now we have here and bishop f5. I mean, this may allow knight f4, but... Knight takes. All right, we're gambling. Knight f4, I guess. But d6 is a pass pawn now, but just like h4 is also pass pawn, so this game is all over the place. All over the place. Here, he wants to play here. So getting my king in a better square, it's not clear. I actually felt like he's going to play knight f4. He did not do it. Now it's going to be a little bit different. He has knight d5, though. I'm concerned about h4 running. That's actually the reason I'm playing like this. h4 could run. Take here. Still competitive, though. Still competitive. This checks. It's important there's no check that makes sense. We're covering all of them. Maybe bishop here. Or moving the knight seems to be key because now I want to get my g-pawn. He also has a pass pawn, so this is still not clear who is doing what. Yeah, he wants to get the pawn rolling just like I am. He's gonna play here, I guess. Or here. Alright, if he takes, we take. Who's faster? He takes on g5. Oh, maybe he wins? Ooh, he might win this. He might take on g5. Oh, wait. Wait. No, now it's a win for me, I think. Yeah, now it's a win for me. I was fast. I was always fast. Just need to make sure it doesn't go to h2. Now you lose a pawn. You move, you lose a pawn. That's how you win, folks. That's how you win. Checkmate coming. Interesting game, though. Interesting game. Yeah, we gotta stop here because I felt like this is gonna be a short stream. But I just wanted to test YouTube. This is the very first time doing YouTube stream. Hopefully the audio is good, folks. I mean, the audio is good. I mean, my concern is the audio. It's not even the video. Not even the video, it's actually the audio. I can see the board. I can see the board is good enough. But my concern is the audio. If people can't hear me, then what's the point, you know? But anyways, this game is really rich with ideas. This possibly draw is the best result here. I actually felt like he might be winning. Yeah, here's winning for me, but I actually felt like the potential win, it's a draw. Okay. Yeah, once you do this. In this kind of ending games, like around here, you have to be careful that he might sack. Like there's some concern that he might sack, and you might be facing where, you know, you're facing two passed pawns at some point like this. It wasn't here because obviously I still have a passed pawn in my, you know, going in as well, so that it didn't work. So obviously when he, it's still a draw though. It's still a draw. I think, yeah, draw makes sense. I actually felt like it's something like here. This is actually not here. Maybe. Does he add this? This is also losing. What's the move? H3? This is still losing. Where's the line? Oh, knight takes g5. Yeah, that's actually what I meant. Knight take on g5. You second piece, right? And the idea is once you land over here, I suppose you could take on d6, but I think you could take here, and this is actually a draw. My concern was actually if you were to chase those two pawns down here, but obviously the bishop is going to stop on time. The knight actually stopping this, I could always stop this, but this is actually a draw. White is running out of pieces, doesn't have a pawn, and obviously this is a draw. But you have to be careful because obviously this position is starting to get really... It's like a pawn race, which side is faster, you know, with the pawns. I felt like my pawns was really fast because now they're already, you know, there were only 2 squares left, 3 squares with the other pawn, but it wasn't enough for a win. I felt like a draw offer was legitimate offer and he should have took it, but he looked over the time and eventually got himself, you know, eventually got himself, like, you know, flagged or lost. I mean, did he lose on time or checkmate? We checkmated him. He was looking at the time, and eventually I was able to speed up and find the, you know, way to win. We're gonna stop here, folks. We're gonna be back maybe later today, so maybe we can continue with YouTube stream. I mean, I'm expanding now. I'm expanding like my stream, my content everywhere. Like we're gonna do YouTube stream, YouTube videos. You know, even Twitch, everything is gonna move forward with improvements. So maybe I will be back later today, maybe streaming the other site. And you know, I try to do 2 streams now a day. We're also gonna do specific videos for YouTube. There are other content in the videos, different videos on YouTube, and it should be fun. This is going to be a learning experience. I'm actually leaning toward playing Rapid here. I don't want to play Blitz here. Blitz is fast. It's hard to make the moves. It's, you know, suggest moves. I will keep it in different content, like for Blitz and Bullet, because I do play both time control. we'll keep Blitz and Bullet elsewhere, but you're gonna see me playing it. And also keeping Rapid in YouTube, because this is actually seems to be key. I mean, I even feel like Tenno is a little bit too fast, because you're doing all the commentary and the syncing process and keeping up, right? But I feel like Tenno is a good starting point to keep it this way, for YouTube specifically. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna keep it that way. Rapid explaining the moves. Even most of the videos on YouTube, they're potentially gonna be like the different videos, like the video on demand, is gonna be more rapid as well. There could be a combination of blitz games, but we'll see. We'll end it here, folks, and thank you for tuning in. Though 10 viewers, in no time is gonna be 10,000. We'll see. Time will tell. And we'll be back. We'll be back later, maybe today. Really? Yeah, that's good. We'll be back later. Nightbot, Keegan, everybody. We're going to be back later today, folks. And thank you for tuning in. We'll be back. We'll be back. And more Rapids, more games. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. See ya.